very happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. My name is Sia Nejad, otherwise known as the Counselor of Cash, and I already see Steve Folkerts, CLE fan, Kylie Reynolds, Richard Pierre in here. Eric David is in here. He says it's Friday, baby. It is. But how was our Thursday? Not so great with the SportsLine picks. I got to be honest. I haven't seen this in a long time where all the SportsLine picks fail. The live picks. Shout out to Larry Hartstein. He told you what to do with the 30.5. Look for that as opposed to the 31.5. Mike McClure hits his play as well. Sniper loses his baseball play. We go 2-1 in our live plays, but the SportsLine picks go 0-5. It's just a bad day. We've had a lot of good days this week, though, so that's the good news. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to recover. We got to bounce back. We're going to bounce back with vibes and with picks for BPE Friday. Go. We got Danny Brasco. We got Buckets. We got Mackenzie Brooks. We got Chip Patterson. Mackenzie's raising the roof in Nebraska. Danny Brasco with the shadow buck. I went to Buckets right away because Buckets, I'm worried about your no food poisoning. We didn't get any food poisoning from the Bucket Challenge. Nothing going on there. That's good to hear. Chip Patterson, why don't you deliver on our Chip Me Up?
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, kids. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Hey, you know I got that battery in your back, but I also want to take you down a little journey because, yeah, in week one, it got a little tough. I was feeling kind of blue, but don't worry. I thought maybe it was just a problem with ill communication, but then I decided I was going back to the mothership, and I all of a sudden started seeing the green checks come in. It was hotter than July, and finally, after the gold rush, we are back to work. Double green checks last week, double green checks. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Buckets, you were looking for a prop behind you. Did you find anything?
No, I've got nothing to compete with that. See, that's just my Friday's made. I don't care what happens the rest of the day. I'm just happy.
Well, a lot of people's Thursday nights were made, at least people who follow you for your soccer picks, because sometimes you put out those INT props and Buckets. I don't even know if you're aware of this, but late in the night, you actually hit your INT prop. Did you know that?
No, I went to bed, boy. Actually, no, that's a lie. I didn't go to bed before that. I was in the movie theater at midnight, so I have no idea it happened, but I'm glad it happened.
You want to let us know what movie you saw?
What movie?
I saw the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1 movie. And
yes.
I was in tears. I mean, it was just beautiful, Sia. I'm sure you know.
Surprised it took you that long to go watch it. You must have been super busy with
I was. Yep.
Very, very good movie. Mackenzie Brooks, where are you? You're on location in Nebraska, correct?
Yes, we are in Lincoln, Nebraska for our college football pregame show for HQ. We're going to be doing it literally right at the rail yard, which is an awesome area. This is my first time here. Very excited. I walked out to dinner last night and they have a massive billboard of us like a block away.
That's so cool.
It was so cool. I was like, oh my God, I know those guys. So that's really exciting. I think this would be a really awesome crowd if anyone's in the Lincoln area. 8 a.m. local time will be the star of the show. And then we will basically be on up until kickoff and small variations, but 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time, 9 to noon Eastern.
That's on Saturday morning. So if people aren't in Lincoln, Nebraska, where do they watch it? Is this on where? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we're also streaming it on the CBS Sports YouTube, and I'm in the chat a lot when I'm not in on segments. So come hang out, come chat with me, or just find it on Paramount as well.
All right. Danny Brasco, how you doing? I know you've come with an NFL pick that a lot of people are not going to like. I happen to like it, which means it's probably a sharp play. How you feeling today?
Yeah, the more and more I didn't like it, as hard as it was to click that button to bet it, it told me that it was the right bet. So it's going to be ugly, but you got to take your medicine here. I'm going to be battling through a chainsaw that's coming through my house, a construction team, and planes. I've never heard so much noise. So tough life in the life of a freelance broadcaster, but we battle through. And hey, remember Buckets' hotel hacks that are, a little sketchy. I'm actually going to bring you guys some restaurant hacks today. I love food. Food is love. I'm going to give you guys a couple ways to improve your meal quality and service.
If you have a restaurant hack, put it in the chat, because honestly, this is somewhat of an education. We had to educate Buckets on, Tuesday, that maybe you shouldn't be drinking out of the bucket that he was drinking out of, especially the ice, where he got the ice from. It was just like too many things going on. Like, again, Buckets, I'm so surprised you are well and you're with us today. That's good news. talk to us about some soccer picks. And do you have any restaurant hacks?
Sia, before I get to the soccer picks, I want to name the 5 most important TV shows in my life. And I'm just curious if you know of a single one of them, because you always bully me for my pop culture. Let's swing it the other way. So
I do.
My 5 favorite shows of all time. You ready?
Yes.
Attack on Titan. Yeah? No?
No.
Okay. Jujutsu Kaisen.
Never heard of it.
Chainsaw Man.
Not a thing. That's not even a real thing.
Frieren.
No.
Or Demon Slayer. No?
I
0
don't.
for 5?
Yeah, 0 for 5.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic, everyone. Well, speaking of, I was going to say 0 for 5. That'd be a terrible segue. Let's talk about 2-0, because that's the goal for the plays here this afternoon, everyone. We've got the German Bundesliga taking place, and we've got a really good matchup between VfB Stuttgart taking on St. Pauli. And I want to make a football analogy, an American football analogy, to kind of help everyone comprehend this bet, because I'm going with St. Pauli double chance. I'm going for the worst team of the two to either win or draw at even money plus 100. St. Pauli has looked very good, and Stuttgart is essentially, you ready for this, the Bills without Josh Allen. Dennis Undav is out for still a couple weeks, recovering from a hamstring injury, so he will not be available. And without him spearheading this team, they're just not the same club, and I don't value them to beat anyone right now. So I love St. Pauli on the double chance. There you go, Sia.
Thank you.
I got you. I was very proud of that, and I needed some validation.
No, that was
second play.
Yeah, go ahead. The Josh Allen thing actually was kind of impressive. Now I want to bet it. I'm not going to, but I want to bet it now. Go ahead.
Perfect.
What's your second play?
On the second play, we're going to the Polish Ekstraklasa, where we have GKS Katowice taking on Cracovia, and we're going for a new kind of bit of a life hack here. Not the hotel life hack, but the soccer life hack. When you see Polish teams play, and specifically when you see Katowice play, you just bet both teams to score. It's minus 125. If it's below minus 160, you take the juice. It's worth the squeeze. This Katowice side has not kept a clean sheet in a single game this entire season. Their last 11 games now, they've conceded every single time. And when you are that bad, and when you're fighting in a relegation battle, you got to go for goals here. BTTS is the only way I want to play when I see Katowice. Cracovia is a good team, but when they're playing on the road, they're not a good team. They look significantly worse, and their defense kind of goes out the window here. Let's go 2-0 on these plays. Back to you, Sia Nejad.
Yeah, let's go 2-0 and not
Someone
0-5.
did television this week.
Oh, me? I saw I think someone tweeted at me, and they're like, "Buckets don't forget us when you get famous or whatever." And I responded with the picture of a guy saying, "What I'm going to do as soon as I get famous, it was step 1, I'm going to let the money change me, and step 2, I'm going to forget all my day ones." And I think I'm going to try that out, see how it goes.
Peace.
So I'm definitely not going to Danny Brasco next. Chip Patterson.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of college football coming from you. We got some college football coming from Mackenzie Brooks. Why don't you kick us off with a couple of college football plays?
All right, yeah, let's start with the Iron Skillet, one of the best rivalry names that you have. These two schools, SMU and TCU, are about 40 minutes apart from their campuses. And when you go back and you look at these games, it is the classic example of two things. Number one, a one-sided rivalry, meaning that it's not equal hate both ways, which sometimes can lead to the big brother, little brother, it kind of just feisty dynamic. And what happens with feisty? Well, that takes us to number 2. Nothing but touchdowns. How about the fact that in 4 of the last 5 meetings, they've gone over 75 points in this game. And last year, they were at 62 by halftime. So we're going SMU, TCU over 62.5. I have seen SMU's defense. They cannot stop anybody. I think Josh Hoover's going to carve them up. And additionally, now that it looks like we're going to have Kevin Jennings back, I think SMU will be able to score on TCU as well. The Frogs have not been tested by a capable offense. And yes, I am including North Carolina as not being a capable offense, as they rank outside the top 120 in many offensive categories. So Iron Skillet over. We want to get things hot there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, over 62.5. Then we're going to take you to the night slate. We're going to take you to a bet that I know Ben is going to love, because one thing that he knows that maybe not everybody knows is that Indiana is going to go into this game with chainsaws. Those chainsaws you are hearing in New York, that is Kurt Signetti getting things ready. And I was thinking, so if Illinois' best cornerback is out, Xavier Scott, And Indiana has a maybe an upgrade in the passing attack with Fernando Mendoza. Do you think that they are going to pick on his backup right away? Hell yes, I do. So we're going Indiana in the first half, -3.5. The Fighting Illini have also been classically slow starters. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game if you want to jump on the over as well. And in the end, it's going to be kind of Fernando Mendoza, Luke Altmaier, very back and forth. So I'm not going with the full game here. So with Illinois being slow starter, Indiana picking on the backup, and maybe some halftime adjustments required for the Illinois side of this, I'm just going to go Indiana first half -3.5.
All right, we're on Indiana first half -3.5. SMU, TCU over 62.5. There was a question, and Buckets, I'll get to you in a second. 63.5. Would you play it there?
Yes.
Okay.
I know 63 is a key number, but the game that there was Sia last year in this game. The second quarter alone had 45 points.
Wow.
I mean, that's like an NFL game's worth of scoring in one quarter last year.
We did a little promo for Fantasy Football Today DFS. It's in your feed already and on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel. In the 1 o'clock games, almost every single total is either 43.5 or 44.5, and you're talking 45. It's pretty crazy. Buckets, what was so funny?
Two things. Is there anything less intimidating than a frog for a mascot? I don't know why that got me when you kept saying the frogs. I cannot think of a worse mascot or like representation for any animal. I don't know if there's a worse one. Just had to bring that out there.
Horned frog.
What that makes it worse? It just has
poison.
Horns. It's intimidating. It's like a sorcerer frog.
What about those ones in the Amazon that you lick and you could go on a crazy trip? Those are dangerous.
Yeah, and actually, if you want to look, Buckets, after we get clear here, because I don't want to, we don't need to extend this too long, but look up the Hypnotoad, okay? And you will see, look up the Hypnotoad, and it's not exactly the warfare of the physical type. It's more of the mental type.
Okay. No, that's, I stand corrected. Sia, back to you.
Thank you, John Eimer. I very much appreciate that. There were some. Okay, I have to get to a couple of things. We have a lot of we got a lot of SportsLine picks, including some MLB picks that you're going to be interested. Home run chart, and also all the picks that are older from this week. We're going to put on the recap screen as well in case you missed one of the shows. You can catch up on some of the picks. But I do want to mention our group ride. We do have the 4 candidates that you all nominated. I say you all because I don't want to have to be 0-3 with you all. We got to get to 1 and 2. These are the nominees, and you're already in the chat voting for it. Chargers -2.5, Texas money line, Ladd McConkey over 59.5 receiving yards, and Emeka Egbuka anytime touchdown. Hand up. Does anybody have any like Brasco? Any thoughts on any of these 4? I'm not on any of these, but it's not like I hate them.
I'm not mad at the Ladd McConkey play. I told you guys after that Texans game, I bet them in their last week, and not only will I not be betting them for the rest of the season, I won't be watching any of their games. That was
the
just
Chargers. Or Houston.
No, Houston. The Chargers are darlings. No,
it was
Houston.
oh my God, Justin Herbert, the people's princess.
No, princess. No. So if anything, I'd go with Ladd, but
Emeka Egbuka caught an injury designation this week. Yeah. I would stay away from that. So
Totally fair. The Chargers one is interesting to me. I mean, it looks like they're baiting you into the under the key number, and Broncos haven't been playing super well, just lost to Indianapolis. Chargers look really good. Honestly, that seems like a trap line if I've ever seen one, but I would lean to the Chargers there. Buckets, how about you? Which one of these 4 do you like?
When you Google Ladd McConkey, the first thing to pop up is Ladd McConkey out with a bicep injury, so maybe not him. Unless it's okay.
First of all, it's McConkey. Second of all, you're right. He did sit out Wednesday's practice, I believe. I don't know about Thursdays, but Wednesday's practice with a quote bicep injury. But that might have just been a rest day.
I'll go Texans. Texans money line for me then.
Ladd McConkey. Okay, Texans money line from Buckets. So we have college football promos. I got to tell you about these and a pro football promo from BetMGM. And Mackenzie, we got to get to your college football picks, my NFL pick. There's a lot going on here. BetMGM account holders will receive a college football odds boost. To use the boost, add a wager made up entirely of college football bets to your bet slip and activate the token. Score extra winnings if your wager that was made with the token wins. And then tomorrow, BetMGM is offering the following. BetMGM players will receive a Pro Football Odds Boost, Pro Football Parlay Boost, and a Pro Football SGP Boost. Just make a Pro Football wager, a Pro Football Parlay, or a Pro Football SGP. If your wager wins that was made with the boost, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars only at BetMGM. Before we get to a break, I think we should get to some of these sports line picks because there's a lot of them, especially ones that date back to earlier this week. Prop stars, you're going to see these on the prop show today at 1 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, among others. Tyler Warren over 44.5 receiving yards and Drake London under 67.5 receiving yards. Then we go to college football. Taft Ganton, he's on Memphis +7 at even money and Oklahoma -6.5 at -110. Tom Casale from earlier in the week, TCU -6.5, and Bob Bergbets, North Texas money line -125. That was from Wednesday's show. And here's some picks for today. From Amags, Jacob Mizrowski over 5.5 Ks at +110, and Bruce Marshall is on the A's run line -1.5 at +158. Chip, any thoughts on any of these college football bets that you see on the screen here?
Arkansas, Memphis, Super Bowl, Arkansas coming off the high scoring track meet against Ole Miss. Arkansas cannot stop anybody. If you wanted to tackle different ways to bet Memphis that would take advantage of the Arkansas defense, I would take that. But +7 obviously is tackling that too. And I do think Oklahoma ends up winning the game. So I don't hate the 6.5. TCU -6.5. I might push back on. Obviously, my best bet there is the total, and games that get a little stupid can sometimes come down to 4, 6, 7, 8, like those kind of differences. So I would probably pass on that. And North Texas is playing Army. It is the game that I thought the most about without having any single strong opinions on. So classic learn something kind of matchup for me.
Mackenzie, any of these picks you want to endorse?
I am on the other side of this TCU game. I feel like if SMU had beat Baylor, this spread would not be nearly what it is right now, and they were very, very close to beating Baylor. I also feel like this TCU team is similar to the Baylor team that SMU was able to handle for, again, 80% of that game, except they're less efficient on the ground. I think, again, Samford, the TCU running back, had 43 yards on 10 attempts, so take for that what you will. I think I would definitely lean more towards Chip's play on this game than TCU minus the 6.5. But Tom Casale is a very smart man, so I'm not going to tell you to fade him either.
I've got a follow-up question on a game tonight because there's a lot of talk in the chat, and we can go to a full screen here, Ben. In this Tulsa, Oklahoma State, somebody in the chat said, it's Rick Funkin, it said, Mean Gene is killing it on college football on the site. Of course, he's talking about SportsLine. And I know Gene was on Tulsa, I think, +13.5. Now, that line has dipped quite a bit to +10, +10.5. Chip, I'll go to you first. Do you have any thoughts on that game? And there were people in the chat that had thoughts on this Rutgers-Iowa game. I think a lot of people liked Iowa. And then, Mackenzie, I'll go to you next.
Yeah, all right. So the reason why I don't want to take part, and normally if I like a Friday game, I'm going to bring it here to the show. Tulsa at Oklahoma State is horrendous vibes. And I do not want to engage in this because the Tulsa play, best I can tell, is just thinking that Oklahoma State is going to quit, that everything under Mike Gundy is totally collapsing. I don't know if Tulsa's the team to expose that, though. I mean, did you know Tulsa's head coach is named Trey Lamb, and did you know that he's a 1.1 handicap? I mean, this guy is a stick. I mean, he is just phenomenal golf game. Football team's not great. Incredible golf game from Trey Lamb, the head coach of Tulsa. Sometimes when you're trying to get those positions of fading somebody, I need to know that there's a little bit of something to hang on to in the team that I'm backing. So if he really believes in Tulsa, then that's awesome. But I don't. I'm not going to lay a large number with Oklahoma State because of how bad the vibes are. But I'm also not going to back Tulsa. Now, on the Iowa-Rutgers thing, this is where I know that not everybody has college player props, and the college player prop market is kind of it's very much up in the air. But I will say from a matchup angle, Mark Gronowski, the Iowa quarterback, I think he's going to run all over Rutgers defense. So when we were talking about in the big picture, I might lean a little contrarian over here. Rutgers' injury report is looking like a CVS receipt right now. They're losing tackles. They're losing top defenders. And Mark Gronowski has been playing kind of tight all week. The quotes from him are coaches have been telling me, Tim Lester, the offensive coordinator, been telling me, just let it rip. Just let it rip. And for the former FCS All-Star from South Dakota State, let it rip means that it's like, dog, just go out there and run. Like just go out there and treat this like this is a Saturday out there in South Dakota. And so I think that if you wanted to target Mark Gronowski rushing yards over against this Rutgers defense, if that is something that's available to you, that's probably my best angle. Otherwise, Rutgers has gone over, I think, in all 3 games this year. Their defense is not what it used to be under Greg Schiano, and Ethan Kaliakmanis has been given the green light to just let it sail. So kind of I know. I see you, Steve. Iowa Rutgers. You say that in a vacuum. Your instinct is to stay under. I'm saying that the Mark Gronowski rushing and a over lean is kind of where I am for that matchup.
Certainly feels like the contrarian play. Mackenzie, I know you're on a time crunch, so instead of having you follow up Chip there, we're going to take a break, and then you're going to come back with 2 of your college football plays. We're going to see all of that. We're going to see Danny Brasco's picks, my picks, and, of course, some restaurant hacks right after this break.
Saturday is big time and prime time. First, Bryce Underwood in Michigan in a big-time matchup against Dylan Raiola and the Huskers. Then a prime-time Apple Cup between the Huskies and Cougars.
We are back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. And Mackenzie, I know you've got to get out of here sooner than the rest of us. So how about delivering on a couple of college football plays first?
Yes, we have 2 team totals today going different ways with both. Now, the first team total is going to be a play that goes back to last season when we were in a very similar situation with Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame. And after that, what happened? Notre Dame went to Purdue and they beat them 66-7. Okay, we have officially entered the part of the Notre Dame season where it's death, taxes, style points. Notre Dame.
Oh, no.
Death, taxes, style points, Notre Dame. I think what she was going to say was Notre Dame team total over 37.5 was going to finish that sentence. We'll see if we get her back, but I'll just let the cat out of the bag. We've got Notre Dame team total over 37.5 at -130. And she also, go ahead, Chip.
Oh, no, I was going to say, still frozen.
Yeah, Kansas. She also has Kansas team total under 34.5 at -120. If she comes back, she can explain those 2. But let's transition because I know she has to kind of get out of here soon anyway. So those are the 2 plays. They'll be on the recap screen. Notre Dame's team total over, Kansas team total under. Brasco, talk to me about, I don't know if you're ready for restaurant hacks, but you have a play that most people are going to look at and they're going to say, not interested. And this is probably why they should be interested, right?
Yeah, let me make the case for the Tennessee Music City Titans here. And I like them at +4.5. I was going to say wait on this because there's a number of injuries, guys with questionable tags that I need to play if I want to back the Titans. But I'm seeing +4s around. I saw some of those guys participate in limited capacity in practice, like the defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat, super underrated nose tackle, like L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback from the Chiefs, who's playing really good ball already through 2 weeks, and like right guard Kevin Zeitler, low-key one of the best guards in football, all questionable for the Titans, 3 key pieces. But if they all go, I love this at +4.5 because I'm selling high on the Colts and Daniel Jones. I know they look good. Indiana Jones, everyone's raving about him. But you guys remember indoor and outdoor Jared Goff, how good he is in a dome in the Lions home stadium, and how his numbers, while they've certainly come back to the middle a little more as he's spent a lot of time in the NFL and succeeded more, he was for a long time in his career very bad outdoors and in cold weather. We might have an indoor Daniel Jones situation here, guys, because he's really good in Indy in that dome environment. I'm going to read you some against the spread stats for him here. By the way, a Titans team that we're covering, they owe a lot of bettors because they were 2-15 against the spread last year. So I think we're going to see some regression on that end. But Daniel Jones outdoor, excuse me while I find this, he was 9-3 against the spread playing indoors and 28-33 against the spread playing outdoors. Since 2023, 3-11 against the spread outdoors. So now you go to Tennessee to face a team that people are sleeping on. I mean, against the Broncos and the Rams in the first 2 weeks, they played 2 of the better defenses in the league, maybe 2 of the best defensive lines in the league, and Cam Ward is the most sacked quarterback through 2 weeks. If we get a little protection on the offensive line, they could cover and potentially win both of those games. They were actually leading both those teams at halftime, and they were down by 1 score in the fourth quarter with the ball. So the scores don't really reflect how they were. And they owe us a home cover too. They haven't covered the spread at home since November 2024. So we're trying to catch a falling knife here, something that hasn't happened in a while. But if Sneed, Zeitler, and Sweat play, I think this defense can keep Daniel Jones and the Colts in check on the road enough to maybe lose by a field goal. I'm selling high on the Colts, who everyone loves. Everyone's picking them to win the South now, but don't write the book out on Daniel Jones quite yet. I've seen a lot of football that he's played, and I'm not ready to call them kings yet. So give me the Titans in an ugly spot, Sia.
I mean, listen, two things can be true. We can have two. Mackenzie's back. Well, let me finish my sentence, and then we'll go right back to Mackenzie. Two things can be true. Danny Dimes can be, or Indiana Jones or whatever, it can be better than people think and still not be an above average quarterback. Again, two things can be true. And I think that exact thing, he's sort of situated himself in between slightly below average and, good. And that's fine if you're an Indianapolis Colts fan. Nobody's saying Danny Dimes is this great quarterback all of a sudden. They're just saying, he's pretty good and he can work in offense. I like this play. I have a correlated play, but Mackenzie, you first.
Yeah, I feel myself getting spotty again, so we're going to try to get through this really quickly. As I said, Notre Dame, death tax the style points, team total overs. That's just going to be a blind tail throughout the rest of the year because not only do they have to win out, but they have to do it in convincing fashion. So always take those. I like it up to 38.5 if that's what you can find right now. Then we're going to go to team total under with Kansas versus West Virginia. I do think they win the game, but last week, West Virginia versus Pitt ran the ball 58 times because they know that's the only way they can stay in these games. So I just don't think West Virginia will allow Kansas to get to this number. They're going to try to control time of possession as much as they can. This is not the Rich Rod West Virginia team of 20 years ago that I was told about by some of my coworkers. I was 2 years old, but I bet it was an awesome time. I just wasn't there. But apparently, this is a lot slower, methodical offense. So I do like Kansas. I just don't think this is a number they'll be able to hit in this game specifically.
Kansas, you were 6. You were 6 years old.
That was a parting shot
easy.
that was just unnecessary.
Bye, everyone.
Unbelievable.
Smooth move.
Catch Mackenzie Brooks for her pregame session. That's going to be really good stuff. Go ahead, Brasco.
I didn't end with restaurant hack number 1. I have 3 for you guys: beginner level, intermediate level, and expert level. They'll get more and more. So beginner level, this is simple, right? If you go to a place that has authentic cuisine, say you go for an Italian meal, a Greek meal, Spanish, right? Speak a little bit of the language. It can be super simple. Just something like muchas gracias if you're at a Mexican restaurant after you serve your meal, right? Or, grazie mille at Italian, or even when you go to cheers your friends if you're having dinner, right? Salute ragazzi. Say something, anything in that language. Say you go to Greek, efcharisto poli, thanks so much for the food. Learn one little thing. And then if your server is of that region, is from that, that ethnic background, they'll immediately be like, oh, he's one of us. The food comes out better. It comes out quicker. You're one of the fam. So you're immersed in their culture. They know you're one of them, and they treat you as if. So do that. Speak the language.
I think that's absolutely true. Buckets, why are you laughing? And do you agree or disagree? What's going on?
I'm having flashbacks as a kid to like my parents going to Taco Bell and my dad being like, gracias, as we're walking out the door kind of thing.
Yeah. This doesn't even apply at like Taco Bell and Olive Garden.
Okay. See, this is
well,
good.
I'll say this, Buckets, real quick. If you go to Chipotle and you're super nice to them, maybe even inquire how their day is going. If it's like a slow day or something that actually sounds sincere, like you're actually curious how their day is going, that scoop of chicken is going to be a little bit bigger. I'm just telling you, 68% of the time, 67% of the time, it will be a bigger portion. Go ahead, Buckets.
90% of the time I go to Chipotle, they make fun of my order. It's not. I don't get along with Chipotle. We're not on good terms.
Go. What's your order?
It's not. I don't have it in me today.
You do.
I know. The chat harassed me last week.
Yeah,
I'm not going again Friday. I got to have one good day here this week.
Chip, before I give out, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Chris Kish said one great caveat. He said everywhere but a French restaurant. He's absolutely right. I was in Paris. I said, merci beaucoup. They were scoffed at me like, American, just shut up. Don't try it at a French restaurant. Just be quiet. Order in English. Take your food and sit down like a good boy. He's totally right.
Chip, any thoughts here? Any restaurant hacks before Danny delivers on a couple more?
I mean, just can't endorse a lot of this enough. I know that Danny, like I see you, dog. Like you understand like the way to ingratiate yourself. And 100% on the French stuff. Like when I was in Paris, they'd write my name like Patterson, American. Like I make a reservation for 8:30. They're like, yeah, we'll see you for afternoon snack. Like it was just so obvious what I was doing. So I wasn't trying to speak any French. I waited tables at 2 different Italian restaurants. And that was like that was sort of my introduction into the language. Ended up taking Italian in college as well, and I've visited Italy. Very much enjoy Florence and Tuscany, and the small things that Danny's talking about. You don't try to go way over the top to put a sentence together, because none of us are going to have like the grammatical connections, because what they teach you in a textbook is not the way that people actually talk. But just being able to offer those little like hellos, goodbyes, thank yous, all that stuff can go a long way.
Yeah. Moral of the story is just be nice. And that might work too. Okay. So I'm going to make a play here that I already put on SportsLine. It'll be, among other picks, it'll be on the prop show today at 1:00 on CBS Sports Network. And for those of you that are new to this channel, just know that prop show, yes, it's on CBS Sports Network. Maybe you're busy. Maybe you can't watch it. A lot of people do watch it live, but it gets put on the YouTube channel basically 20 minutes later. So if you are subscribed to this channel or to the podcast, frankly, on Apple or Spotify, but I entrust most of you will be subscribed to this channel, you'll be able to get this basically by like 2:30. It should be up on the SportsLine YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out, because Dave Richard, Claudia Bellafato, Prop Stars, and myself are giving out props for an hour there. Okay, let's move to Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was one of the props I hit over on SportsLine last week. It was a winning day for me last week because of my sides. Props have been so for me so far. Tony Pollard was something I hit yesterday at over 66.5 rushing yards. It's only been bumped up 2 yards here, but the volume should stay the same. One thing I looked at last week and one thing I looked at this week was his rush attempts prop, 17.5. That's a ton of volume. And if we're being honest here, if Danny's going to be right about his pick, they're going to have to lean on Tony Pollard. It's not going to be the Cam Ward, Calvin Ridley show. It's just, that's not how it's going to work for Tennessee. Cam Ward is too young. They have to lean on their running back, who, by the way, gets all the volume because they don't really have a backup running back. You look at what the Titans did in the first 2 games, Tony Pollard specifically, not super efficient, although pretty efficient last week, but not super efficient overall. But look who he went against. Denver and the Rams. Those are 2 very good defenses and 2 very good run defenses. Now he gets the Colts at home, and the Colts are a pretty decent team all around, but their rush defense isn't very good. They're allowing about 5 yards per carry, way worse than the 2 teams before them in terms of what Tony Pollard has faced. So again, this is really a volume play more than an efficiency play. But because it's a lesser defensive unit, I think he's going to actually get there on efficiency. So even though his rushing attempt total is 17.5, as long as this game stays within 10, 14 points, he's going to get the carries, and he might get this on 15 carries as opposed to having to get to 16, 17, or 18. Frankly, I think he could get it on 14 carries. So give me Tony Pollard over 68.5 rushing yards at home at -114. Any thoughts on that, Danny? Because I'm sure part of your analysis was the Titans having to establish the run here.
Yeah, I like it. I like it because I mentioned the defensive lines for the Rams and the Broncos that the Titans went up against. I mean, the Colts are a big drop off there. They don't necessarily have a vaunted pass rush, so Ward should have more time. I don't think he'll take 5 or 6 sacks. And I think they can take some of that pressure off him, like you said, just feeding the rock to Pollard, who looked really good last week. So I think this correlates nicely, especially if they're playing with the lead that they've given up already in the first 2 weeks to much better teams, I think, personally, despite the success of the Colts early on. I think Pollard has to be involved. I agree with you.
We got a lot of questions. We still have the MLB home run chart, Inside the Lines crew home run chart to get to. But Buckets, let's get to some soccer. Ray Garcia says Liverpool money line and over 2.5. Any thoughts? Oh, can't hear you, buddy. Can't hear you.
Oh, man.
Brother, this guy's
unbelievable. I thought you were just like a pro. What happened to the whole pro on set in studio thing? John,
Whatever. Well, now I got to be a jerk. I don't like that bet, honestly, for Ray Garcia. I understand the logic here, but you got to remember these teams coming off of Champions League play, now going back to Premier League play, having to travel, they're going to see some very tired legs. If you look at the over-under to that game, and I'm going to guess I'm reading this wrong now that I'm looking at the chart. Yeah, I was. I'm still not super confident in Liverpool coming off of that win and going into another win, and Everton is kind of tricky to play. This could be a low-scoring win or maybe a low-scoring draw, so I'm going to stay off that one. See ya.
All right, how about Snug the Cat, who says, Buckets, what do you think about Real Sociedad versus Betis, both teams to score -125?
I like both teams to score. What I like better in that game is Giovanni Lo Celso to score or assist at +100 for Real Betis. He has been unstoppable this season. He's kind of a sneaky pick because he's not a huge name and the books don't really catch it. I'm looking at, again, kind of a 1-1 draw there, but I think Giovanni's going to have an impact.
Aaron Quigg says, Buckets, Anthony, shots on target, 2 shots, -130, a play for you.
Anthony is, it's not, if it wasn't minus 130, if that's minus 110, I take it. That's a little bit of juice for something that could turn into a bit of a defensive matchup. It's not my favorite. If you can get that closer to minus 110, I'd take it. But minus 130 is just out of my range for this one.
Philip Terrassa says, take a look at the Dutch. Oh, here we go. Eredivisie. Eredivisie. Oh, I almost got that. Sparta Rotterdam team total over 1.5. I got it at plus 120. Any thoughts there from Philip?
They are playing against Twente today. Twente is normally a decent team, but defensively has been kind of not great this year. And Sparta's offense honestly looks really solid. At plus 120, I think it's a great shout. That's another one of those matchups where it might be safer just to take something like over 2.5 because Twente can show up when they need to. But Sparta is definitely the better of the two sides.
All right. I think now is a good time. We got a couple more questions, including a couple for you, Chip. Go ahead, Buckets.
I got one more I want to answer from David Talk asking Chelsea money line plus 145 against Manchester United. I know it's kind of everyone's on the hate train for Man United right now. I think Chelsea coming off of that disappointing loss to Bayern Munich will be looking to kind of bounce back immediately. I like that look. And I also like Garnacho if he starts. He's plus 280 to score. There's this Man United curse that whenever a player leaves United, they all of a sudden become really good. We saw that with Marcus Rashford playing for Barcelona and picking up a brace in Champions League. If Garnacho does start, absolutely take him to do something just for the sake of the curse at this point.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the home run chart. So, Ben, if you could pull that up. Then we're going to get to restaurant hack number 2 from Brasco. And then, Ben, you're going to come on and tell us what the group ride is, because I think we can close voting. We've gone about 35 minutes here. Top MLB home run plays according to the SportsLine model and the Inside the Lines crew. Bryce Harper plus 350 versus plus 480. Willie Adames plus 275 versus plus 375. And Nick Kurtz plus 280 versus plus 320. I know we don't have a lot of baseball guys on today, but go into the SportsLine Discord, which is free to all SportsLine members. Get into that MLB channel, ask away to Amags and the rest of the crew there if you have any follow-up questions or maybe other home run plays that others might be interested in. All right, before we bring Ben on, Danny Brasco, give me restaurant hack intermediate level.
Okay, this is probably my favorite one. And first of all, I want to say you should develop relationships at restaurants that, especially that you want to go back to, the ones that you like. Servers remember you. People. A quote I love is, people won't always remember what you do for them, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. So people make you feel good, you make them feel good. They'll remember you, whatever the experience is. If you haven't been to the restaurant before and you don't have any relationships, here's what you do: do a little due diligence. Go online, go to their Instagram, find where they're posting pictures of the food. Find out the GM's name. Go to their website. Find out a little bit of their story. Look at the special items on the menu. Go into the restaurant, say it's your first time, and say, hey, is Brian working today? We had such an amazing time last night. He was so sweet to us. Just kind of make up a story about how you had an amazing experience the first time. They'll either not see you in the system or assume they made a mistake, and they'll just believe you're a regular. And then maybe that GM comes around and he pretends to know you because they can't remember. They see a million people every day. So, great to see you guys again. Yeah, maybe you get sent out a free appetizer or the cocktails at the end are on the house, but it just helps build the rapport. So yeah, it's a little bit of a white lie, but I like, using those to improve your experience. No one's getting hurt in that process. And I think you maybe get a free dish out of it.
Are these hacks just for like super bougie, nice restaurants?
I mean, again,
I feel like if I find out the cashier's name at Cane's and find them on social media and then go being like, hey, Sarah, like what's going on? Like, that's going to be weird.
I'm not using them at Applebee's if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, but Applebee's in Ohio might be different than the Applebee's in the city. Like they hold different places in the community.
Just enough research from Danny Brasco to fall short of a restraining order. And Paul L is pointing out sort of the dichotomy between the beginner level and intermediate level. He's saying, be nice. Oh, and also fabricate stories. So I can't wait to see what the top level restaurant hack is. Ben, could you come on and talk to us about who we are betting as an early edge group ride? Who won the vote? Go ahead, tell us.
Looks like the Chargers minus 2.5, 45% of the vote. I honestly like this play. I think this is good. It looks like the Chargers are kind of full steam ahead with Harbaugh and Herbert. They seem to be on the same page. So listen, we need our first win. 0-2. I like it.
You also have a play, Ben, correct? You have a producer pick for us. And speaking of an ugly pick and probably a sharp pick, you're on a similar team in a similar situation that nobody's going to want to back.
Yeah, so if there's one thing I know about betting and stocks is you want to buy low. And I think this is a buy low spot for the Cleveland Browns. They have been extremely stinky, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But this is going to be their first game against a non-division opponent. This is going to be the Packers' first road game of the season. You're getting 8.5 points, just slightly over possession and a 2-point conversion. And the Packers are supposed to be without a couple of starting offensive linemen, which is good for the Browns because they have an amazing defensive line. So I think this defensive line takes advantage of that, maybe gets to Jordan Love a little bit more, maybe forces the Packers to do some uncomfortable running a little more than they're used to. And I like this Browns defense to keep it within the number. Home game, this is a very buy low spot on the Browns with how bad they have been. I like the 8.5. I think there's one more left at DK, so I'm going to scoop it up and take it. Give me the Browns this week. Kind of a hold your nose play, but I think it's a great situation for them.
You know, something really interesting, Ben and everybody else. I think Cleveland's going to make Jordan Love and company pretty one-dimensional because you can't really run on Cleveland. So, I mean, we'll see what they accomplish, but I don't think Jacobs is going to be efficient at all. It's going to be up to Jordan Love to pass the ball. And so I put a pick on sport. This is a very funny situation. I put a pick on SportsLine that I said this is a ladder pick for sure. So for those of you that are not SportsLine members, I'm going to give you the benefit of this pick right now because I think it's a good talking point. Matthew Golden over 29.5 receiving yards was the play. And I said you could ladder that up to 40, 50, 60 yards. He's only got 4 targets on the season. He's only got 2 catches on the season. But with Jaden Reed out and with Jordan Love missing Matthew Golden on 2 deep shots that honestly he could have caught both. It was really Jordan Love's fault. And he could add to potentially 100 yards and a touchdown. We're getting kind of a deflated and a depressed line here for a guy that might be featured, maybe not as much as Dobbs and Wicks, but featured nonetheless. So I think this is a really interesting play. But what's even more interesting is I put that play on SportsLine. And then I'm not joking, 20 minutes later, the Tucker Kraft news came out. And now most of the lines for the receivers are not out at most sports books. So I don't even know what Matthew Golden is going to reopen at depending on the Tucker Kraft news. And I know they play different positions, but it does potentially a lot more targets to the receiver crew if Tucker Kraft is out. So keep an eye on that Matthew Golden line. I honestly would play it up to 34.5 probably. It's at 29.5 where I got it, but I do think it's got ladder potential because one thing we know about Matthew Golden is he can beat guys deep. And one thing we know about the Cleveland Browns is they play a lot of man coverage. So if Matthew Golden gets loose and Jordan Love puts it on him, that's one catch for a 50-yard gain and potentially a touchdown as well. Buckets, your response.
What?
Exactly. Ben, your response.
I agree. I love it.
All right, let's get to restaurant hack. Brasco, you might have another response to it, but I need a restaurant hack number 3 here.
Well, Liddy says, what could go wrong? We're betting on the Browns and the Titans. It's officially NFL week 3. You got to hold your nose sometimes, the NFL. I don't like the Titans plus 4.5, but I think it's a good bet. I didn't like the Packers minus 8.5, so I teased them down to 2.5. Ben could hit that. You know, he's right. The defensive line is the key factor there. And with some shaky offensive line play on the Packers already, mixing up positions and starters, I'm not mad at it, but it is scary to back these teams early on. Remember though, guys, you can't overreact. No team needs to win. It's week 3. No team can afford to lose. No quarterback is getting fired tomorrow. Well, maybe that's not true, but just don't overreact. Hold your sentiment in check. Expert level, Sia, restaurant hack number 3. First one is simple and not actually expert level. Second one is more of a joke and actually criminal fraud, but I'm going to go ahead and give you both.
It's not criminal fraud.
Well, what I'm going to tell you is first one is tip 25%. It's not that hard and it's not that big of a difference, and it makes a massive difference to the server. Sometimes, I didn't believe this. My buddy works at a bar in Times Square. People don't tip him. They just leave. Some, cultures don't know the tipping, what it is in New York, yada, yada, but leave a little more, especially if it's a lower bill. People squabble. Oh my goodness, you left $9.50 instead of $6.38. Wow, you're a generous tipper. Are you going to miss those $3, or is that server going to see, wow, he tipped me 30% on this small bill? It's just going to go a lot further than the $3 difference that the principal you set in your head. That's for you to feel how you want to manage your money, though. Okay, expert level. This is more of a comedy sketch, but I want to try it one day. You bring your credit card that you've already planned to cancel to the restaurant, right? You're ready to pay your meal. You go in the bathroom. You scratch the back of the magnetic strip that reads it up with like a penny and make it just unreadable. And then you go give it to your server and you claim that their card reader scratched up your card and you refuse to pay for the meal. Free meal. You broke my credit card. It's like George Costanza. They're not a lie if you believe it. Stella Khan. This is ridiculous, sir. You scratched my SWAT card.
Danny, there is no way in hell that people criticize my hotel hack and then Danny comes on here and gives out fraud and theft as his restaurant hacks. That's no
scratch
way.
it up. Scratch the back. Scratch it up.
I'm glad he prefaced that with "I've never actually done this before." Ladies and gentlemen, that is comedy material. Don't actually do that at a restaurant, but it's funny nonetheless. Richard Pierce says, "Correct, Brasco. Tip 30%, especially if you're a regular." I mean, listen, you got to manage your money how you manage your money. But over tipping is always a nice thing to do, especially if you have a really good server, and especially if you're going to go back, because they will remember you and they will give you that VIP treatment if you give them a VIP trip. We had a couple of college football questions before we get out of here to the recap screen. Let's see. Brian Blade. Okay, let's go to Jesse Welter. Am I crazy for wanting to smash Syracuse plus 17.5 over Clemson?
You are not crazy, though. If you are going to play this game, I would maybe go alt line at something smaller for a juicier payout, because it is one of the, what didn't I say, money line, alt line? I've unveiled that here before, right? Now, I don't know if I'd go all the way with, like Clemson either wins this thing by 30 or Syracuse might knock them off, like win it on the field, because Syracuse's defense is not necessarily good enough to be able to stop. Like, this might be where we finally see Clemson's offense get their feet under them. But if you watched all 54 minutes of Dabo Swinney's press conference, where he's out here being like 7 conference titles in 10 years, if that ain't good enough, I'll just go somewhere else. Like he's calling him entitled. Like, he's getting very he's getting real defensive right now. And that's what tells me that the criticism is not from like people like me or national voices. That means the criticism is coming from people close to the program. Like whether it is like boosters, administrators, parents of players on the team, like that, he is getting very sensitive and defensive. So either skid into the steer, it's going to get worse. Syracuse keeps this in close. I would maybe do alt line at like 10.5, right? Get a little plus money. Or Clemson's going to come out here and be like, no. Now it's time for us to hit the gas on you fools, because Georgia Tech might be good. Like, Georgia Tech just might be a good football team. So you are not crazy for wanting to smash Syracuse plus 17.5. 17.5, of course, being a key number. But I would also say that if you are imagining that Syracuse is going to truly put an upset scare in Clemson, then maybe take that thing down to 14.5. Take that thing down to 10.5 and give yourself a little juicy payout.
There's a couple of questions regarding this Miami of Ohio UNLV game, where it sounded like a couple of people were like, what's the deal with this line? Do you have any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, there's just this expectation that UNLV should not be so short of a favorite against a MAC team because it's Dan Mullen, because UNLV has been like a pretty successful program, but they are far from a perfect team. And like Miami, as there have been like a lot of turnover at Ohio, as there have been a lot of turnover at some of these other MAC programs, Miami still under Chuck Martin has been absolutely rock solid. So it is very possible that the UNLV defense just can't get off the field, and Miami puts together. Do you remember when Army beat Kansas State, but Kansas State only had the ball for 8 minutes in the entire second half? It's like Miami could plod their way and just play keep away from UNLV offense that is talented, but I just don't know if the defense is going to get off the field. I'm staying away from it. It's a funky matchup of mismatched styles. So if you want to jump in on it live, I understand, but I wouldn't look at that and be like, oh my God, UNLV, that's a no-brainer. There's a reason why it opened at 4.5. There's a reason why it's sitting at 2.5. And it's just because these two teams are oil and water. And I don't know what's going to happen when you try to mix them together.
All right. Sounds like a stay away. I have one follow-up question for you, Brasco, before we get to the recap screen. But Zooms71 says, what are your thoughts on Mariota and the Commanders? He's asking me. I don't like that game at all. I don't like the 3.5. I wouldn't lay it. I will tell you that on Fantasy Football Today, DFS, we had a big conversation about Marcus Mariota at a flat 4K over on DraftKings. Again, that's a DFS conversation. Meg Schaub, Mike McClure, and I do that show every Thursday. It's in your feed. Listen to that, because this was the same crew that played Mac Jones at minimum pricing with Christian McCaffrey last week, and that worked out pretty well for us. So listen to that show, see if we like Mariota this week against the Raiders. Brasco, there was somebody in the chat before we get to the recap screen. It was Jay Metz. He says, Danny Brasco was the kid in school who knew the teacher's spouse's name. Your response?
That's ridiculous. Look, guys, I'm just kidding. I don't actually steal from restaurants. In fact, I have a passion for restaurants. I worked in service very briefly. I worked for Joe Bastianich for a few months at one of his restaurants. He's the owner, one of the co-owners of Italy. And I missed, there were 3 people eating, or there's three people on the reservation. 2 only came. And for about, I would say 30 seconds, I didn't remove the third place setting. I didn't see that. And Joe Bastianich took me in the corner and yelled at me. So from then on, I just kind of understood the level of service. I watch everything that happens in a restaurant. Again, if I'm going to an Applebee's, I'm not pulling some of these out, but I really appreciate it. It's an art form. And it's also just like cultural immersion. It's an art that's a gift. They give you their love and their stories and their tradition. And so I love food. Guys, I'm just kidding. That last one was a joke. So don't think I'm actually going in there and taking from mom and pops.
Let's see. I do want to get to the recap screen. David Talk pointing out Jaden Daniels is still questionable. Yeah, we don't think he's going to play. So that's why I mentioned Marcus Mariota. Obviously, if he plays, and we said this on FFT DFS, you can disregard the Mariota conversation if he plays. But Mike thinks Jaden Daniels should sit for a few weeks, and I think he's going to sit at least this week. So, and he prefaced that with saying he's not a doctor. He's just kind of like just tracking other people's who are more versed in what his knee injury is. I think he's going to sit out this week and probably play next week. All right, let's get to the recap screen. Wow, we went super, super long here. Here are all my picks from this week. You see at the top of the screen, Tony Pollard I gave out today over 68.5 rushing yards. And then I gave out that alt line teaser-ish play, Seahawks -2.5, Falcons -2.5 at +109. I gave that out on Monday. Also gave out the Falcons -5.5 and the Cowboys money line, both of those at -108. Chip Patterson, SMU, TCU over 62.5 at -105, and Indiana first half -3.5 at -110. Then we had Mackenzie Brooks. She insulted all of us and then said Notre Dame team total over 37.5 at -130 and Kansas team total under 34.5 at -120. Brasco, Titans +4.5, -115. And then Packers -2.5, Seahawks -1.5. Little alt line teaser there, -135. Buckets, Stuttgart versus St. Pauli. St. Pauli, DC +100. And then we've got Katowice versus Cracovia. Both teams to score -125. Let's move along to a lot of sports line picks. Again, a lot of these from earlier in the week. Prop stars, Tyler Warren over 44.5 receiving yards. Drake London under 67.5 receiving yards. College football, Taft Gant, Memphis +7, even money. And Oklahoma -6.5 at -110. Tom Casale, TCU -6.5 at -115. And then we've got Bob, a.k.a. Berg Bets, North Texas money line -125. And Amags, these are plays for today, from today. Jacob Misrowski over 5.5 Ks at +110. And Bruce Marshall has the A's run line at +158. Not done yet. Bryce Harper, Willie Adamas, and Nick Kurtz are our home run picks, courtesy of the Inside the Lines crew. And then we've got Ben's producer picks and our group ride. Ben's producer pick is Cleveland +8.5 at -112 in our group ride. The Chargers laying the 2.5 -110 against the Broncos. An AFC West battle atop the AFC West, mind you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Buckets had to leave. We went a little bit longer than we usually do. So we don't usually go this long on a Friday. Did Buckets get bored? No, Buckets had other obligations. It's a fair question though, Jen. Danny Brasco, thanks for everything. Obviously, Chip, thanks for everything. Thanks for the chip me up. It woke me up. Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s behind the camera and also in front of the camera. And a big thank you to all of you for spending almost an hour of your morning with us. Chris Kish, Liddy, Farzad, Ryan, James. Appreciate David Talk. I wish I could say everybody's name. Really appreciate Richard Pierre. Appreciate everybody being in here. On behalf of this whole team, we'll see you next time on the Early Edge. Don't forget about the CBS Sports Network programming at 1 o'clock. We'll see you Monday at 10 o'clock. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Danny. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally, 53 minutes later on a Friday, on a BPE Friday, we rest our case.